The madness, the intensity of the shifting ground. What has been normal is no longer. This has been a month that underscores that this is a time when the future hangs in the balance, when the way things have been for decades, the way people have been conditioned to see how this country is governed, are coming undone. This is a time, because of all of this, that there is the possibility to make a real and liberating revolution. Just this past week, the fascist Republican shitshow coronation of Trump in Milwaukee. Genocide Joe Biden drops out of the presidential race. Kamala Harris is now the new Democratic Party candidate, graduating from prosecuting Black and Latino youth to promising to prosecute U.S. imperialism's rule over the whole world. And the giant sucking election machinery has gotten a new lease on life, roping people into an election like no other. A drunk, delusional euphoria has, for the moment at least, possessed liberals and progressives.
Oh, free at last, free at last. Kamala Harris is unleashed. She's just brilliant. She's just, the energy that's coming off of her is the energy that's coming off of the American people. Look, I mean, this is 2008 vibes already. She's done in literally 48 hours things that were considered impossible. She got the nomination. She took over cultural, she's a cultural phenomenon now. TikTok loves her. She raised more money than anybody. She signed up 50,000 people.
The facts are, the reality is, that the Republican Party of Trump and J.D. Vance will very likely not accept anything less than an outright brutal fascist form of rule, an openly declared dictatorship, to institute a more thoroughly Christian fascist, white supremacist, women-hating, patriarchal, viciously anti-immigrant society. They are preparing to bring this about through violence if they can't win or steal the election. On the other hand, the excitement among Democrats that Biden has dropped out of the race, with the widespread delirium that Vice President Kamala Harris is now running for president, cannot be allowed to obscure this essential truth. The Democratic Party, as Bob Avakian says in his social media post, Revolution number 63,
is determined to preserve and enforce this system in the basic ways it has functioned for generations, with its outer shell of democracy concealing its inner core of capitalist dictatorship in the service of horrendous atrocity.
Now pause on that. Horrendous atrocity in Gaza, in its ramping up of World War preparations against its rivals in China and Russia, in its heartless carrying out of the most deportations in U.S. history. They talk about their support for abortion rights. Support that meant cynically doing nothing to protect those rights when they could have, and now delight in using it as an election football. And under Biden and Harris, we went from these snakes in the Democratic Party donning kente cloth in the Capitol and taking a knee after George Floyd was suffocated in broad daylight by another one of this system's pigs, to Biden then repeating, fund the police, fund the police, fund the police, with Kamala Harris now running in her role as a tough prosecutor. More, the Biden-Harris environmental program cannot conceal that U.S. oil production again set new records last year. And, to say the quiet part out loud, this was conceived as part of war preparations against China. So getting behind either of these parties will lead to a horrific future. That is our first point. So stop deluding yourself with idiotic social media memes and childish fantasies. The current insane euphoria among liberals, so-called progressives over Kamala Harris does not and will not change the reality that there is no better side in this fight between the Democrats and the Republicans.
So for me, it was a no-brainer. You've got a younger, more energetic candidate ready to go in the wings, already on the ticket, already won with you in 2020. might be better on Gaza, and we can talk about that, than Joe Biden, although it's not hard to be better than Biden on Gaza, given how bad he's been, and actually has a good record as a senator, as an attorney general. So why wouldn't you go with Kamala Harris?
Compared to other people within the administration, she has shown that she's more amenable to a status quo change in U.S.-Israel policy.
And I feel like I can hear and appreciate the enthusiasm that is there in the room. I mean, the crowd is with her.
The interests of the masses of people here and around the world lie not in choosing between these oppressors, but in making a real revolution involving millions of people, aiming to sweep away the whole system of capitalism, imperialism, and replacing its relations and institutions of exploitation and oppression and its putrid culture with ones that are liberating and uplifting. But these two parties are not the same, and that is the second crucial point. The reality is, as Bob Avakian says in his social media post number 8,
the country as a whole is being torn apart by divisions that can no longer be covered over, and things can no longer be held together in the way they have been for generations. Everything will very likely be coming to a head and coming up for grabs this year, 2024. With the presidential election this year, a sharp focus of the fight between the dominating ruling class parties, Democrats and Republicans. A fight that is very likely to break all out of the bounds of the normal way they exercise power over the people and keep their whole murderous system going.
Trump is a genocidal racist. The MAGA movement is hell-bent on reversing with a vengeance and violence every partial concession to the struggle against oppression since the 1960s, and to make a fanatical, bloodthirsty version of Christianity the guiding ideology and the law of the land. One of their chief ideologues has said that 2025 will mark a revolution, one that will be bloodless if the left allows it. Bob Avakian, in the incredibly important analysis he has been releasing this week at Bob Avakian Official, has laid out the dynamics of this conflict, some of the different ways that this could develop, and some of the truly unprecedented openings, as well as the deep challenges that this rare and extraordinary time we are living in presents to people who yearn for the fundamental change that humanity so desperately needs. Fundamental change that can only be brought about by revolution.
This is not about just changing the faces of the oppressors who are ruling this people-killing, environment-destroying, nuclear war-threatening system that poses a growing danger to the very existence of human beings everywhere. And I'm not talking about what goes on now, where some get ahead and a few get big bank and become part of the business of exploiting people, while masses of people are still held down, exploited, abused, and despised. I'm talking about a real revolution, a revolution to actually overthrow this system we are now forced to live under, and bring something much better into being, a whole different way to live and to relate to each other, a completely different system, working to meet the fundamental needs of the masses of people and to serve their highest interests in putting an end to all oppression and exploitation everywhere in the world. A revolution and a radically new society that really is liberating and uplifting.
This brings us to our third point. What do we need to do so that humanity does not have to live with the existential dangers of the wars and the destruction of the environment and all of the exploitation and oppression that billions of people all around the world suffer from? The progressive writer Rebecca Traister, giddy with Kamala Harris's nomination for president, writes in New York Magazine, quote, "Look, we've now lost so much already and are on the verge of losing so much more. There aren't many rocks left to cling to, and the ones that exist seem to have cognitive impairment and COVID. So we better leap. We have to leap. No! If we limit our sights to desperately finding a rock to cling to, a rock that is clutching the dead, heavy and killing burden on humanity of putting our faith in this system, of voting for the party that is raining down a genocide on the people of Palestine, we will sink to the bottom of the ocean. But there is a liberating way out of the madness. Bob Avakian says in his social media post number 8,
"This is not a time to be siding with one group of oppressors or another. This is a rare time, a very rare opening, a chance that may come only once in a lifetime, a chance to take advantage of the deep divisions among the ruling oppressors and go after their whole system with the aim of bringing the whole thing down and putting something much better in its place. This rare time must not be squandered, wasted and thrown away. It must be actively and urgently seized on to bring about a truly emancipating revolution."
to seize on the unprecedented chance to make a real and liberating revolution which exists in this time, the organized forces for this revolution need to grow, and grow quickly. From small numbers to many hundreds, and then thousands. Bob Avakian has repeatedly emphasized. With thousands organized into the ranks of the revolution, millions can be won to the revolution. And with millions won to revolution, there could be a real possibility for this revolution to win. This is where all of you watching, and thousands more right now, come in. You need to be a part of this. Bob Avakian says,
It would make a decisive difference. It could make all the difference with regard to whether there is a real chance for revolution if people step into this revolution and help to further build the organized forces for this revolution now and in an ongoing way. This is the challenge. This is the possibility. This is a precious opportunity that must not be missed, a rare chance to make revolution, which must not be squandered, wasted, thrown away, but must be actively seized by everyone who hungers for a radically different and emancipating world.